small till it ain't, till it ain't, till it ain't, till it ain't. I'm building up a wall till it breaks. She hated when I call and it's late. I don't wanna keep you waiting. I hope I never keep you waiting. She think I know it all, but I don't. Hello, Caitlin. How are you
Hey
doing?
Scott, I'm great. A little
I saw
hot.
you just I saw you just a minute ago using a fan, an old-fashioned fan.
Yeah, I'm a Southern lady.
Oh, Southern
I'm a little
lady.
sad. When you were growing up, did they have the ones at church that were like the big tongue depressors with the advertisement for a funeral home stapled to them?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. I think so. Nice. So it's what? It's super hot in Vermont?
super humid.
Humid.
Yeah.
But what? How do you fight humidity in the house? Is it because of that big old house you can't do it?
Well, I'm at the office and we have to
Oh,
turn
you're
the
at
air
the office.
conditioning on. Yeah, we have to turn the air conditioning on. We didn't used to have air conditioning. This is a new thing of the
Yeah.
last 2 years that we finally got AC.
Oh.
But you got to turn it on when you get to your office. And so I just got here. It's cooling off.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
So
Well, I
Scott,
am
I'm
yeah.
dying to know, are you using Fable? It
Yes, I'm
it
using
just
Babel.
became available for all of us as of
Yeah.
this recording. Did you immediately start trying it out? What are you thinking?
I can't really tell yet. I mean, people are keep telling me it's incredible, and I'm thinking I must not be doing the kinds of things other people are doing, but I mean, I'm using it constantly. You tell me what you're noticing and maybe it'll jog my observations.
Well, that's super interesting because I am not noticing much. Now, I've been using it for 24 hours probably.
Mhm.
Um, so I have not put it through its paces at all. And I think that it's only when we give it really
Yeah,
complicated, multi-step projects or tasks
exactly.
that we're really
Yeah.
gonna see it. But so far, I'm kind of like, it's
Well, I
okay.
don't, are you using complicated multi-step tasks like these, like very, very deep kinds of laddered down things? Is that how you're doing it?
Often no, because
Yeah.
you know me, I'm very methodical and I actually
Right.
don't like to give Claude big open prompts, but I was trying yesterday because I wanted to kind of see what it would make of it.
Yeah.
Um, it's been okay so far. We'll have to compare notes again. The other thing
I,
that's happening to me is it has these safety switches, right, that are built in, I guess, to keep us from, hacking power grids or whatever. But I keep
oh
triggering
yeah.
them. I keep triggering them and getting kicked down to Opus,
Oh.
and I have no idea why. Because
Why
like
are you triggering national
I don't know
security stuff?
what
What are
I'm
you doing over there?
doing. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
not like,
maybe
please
that's it.
build a biological weapon. I'm like, could you run this robustness check?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I keep
Okay.
getting kicked out. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm gonna run something by you. This is a theory I have. I've been thinking. So in tech, you'll hear people talk about being a manager or an individual contributor. And I've like, I know enough to think I'm probably not a manager type. I think it's a type. I don't think it's like a tech thing. And I think it's like, the managers I associate with people that probably like Raj Chetty or, they have like a large group of people. They like have a lab. But I don't, I guess, and then individual contributors I kind of saw as like, like they live in the code, they live in the project. And I could have seen you being a manager type because you're really mentoring a lot of these students and you'll sort of you're probably head of a lot of these co-authored teams. Is that overstating it or no?
Depends on the team, but yeah, there's definitely those papers. I'm
But I
immediately thinking
guess
of co-authors who'd be like, no, no.
no, that was me. What are you talking about? Not so then um but your comment made me think, well, maybe there's manager. Yes, there's manager. And that's right. There's manager and individual contributor, but that doesn't mean you're a multi-step, methodical, like thought through the chessboard, and you already kind of like can see 20 moves ahead.
Hmm.
Are you like that? Are you like you're not? Are you like I see 20 moves ahead?
Yeah, probably. I don't play chess because all of my mental energy is used up on 20 moves ahead on research projects. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I do typically I map things out. I'm working on a series of revisions on a paper right now, and I am working with Claude. I thought this would actually be a really good thing to put Fable through its paces on, but it's also the case that I'm not coming to it and just saying, figure out this big complicated thing. I have a whole overarching structure, an outline with a hierarchy and the order I want things to go in. And once this is done, this needs to happen. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, I do tend to, I guess. I think if I'm understanding your question, yeah, I probably am thinking about multiple steps in relation to each other.
I've had to move towards so like my style is, is very dialogue oriented with Claude. Like, and so because it's very dialogue, I just feel like it's both of us working through a problem in real time. But what I've noticed is I think stuff is getting away from me. Like,
Mm,
I can tell because, and like, I'll go back and I'll have things like replicate the code, and I'll learn that he did stuff ad hoc in the conversation. And so even though it's like stored, and then there was like a deck made, and there's like a figure and tables, it's actually like somewhere, it's like it's not in the pipeline, it's like in markdown somewhere. And
mm,
so the analytical samples are getting away from me. And so I've been working on, I think I've had to like shift towards a very, very formalized checklist.
mm,
And so it's like a 10 point check because I'm doing a lot of diff and diff. I have like a diff and diff checklist I go through.
yeah.
And I also have this like hierarchy of evidence that I also kind of go through. These are separate deals. But now I kind of think like I have got to tighten a lot more of, I've got to figure out a way to tighten the communications down. But
Hmm.
but it's very clear I prefer a particular style. And so yeah, I was just, I mean, you're not having, I mean, are you having some learning pains a little bit now that you're like 6 months in?
I'm having learning pains. I mean, I think I'm still learning. I don't know if I'm going to call them pains, but I feel like my use of Claude is evolving every week.
Yeah.
I'll try new things. For instance, like this week I decided, and I saw somebody else on social media, I can't remember who, say something similar, and I thought, oh, it's not just me. I decided I want Claude to do HTML instead of Markdown
Yeah.
documents when it's tracking
Hmm.
stuff. I can't remember who said this. Was it you?
Yeah, no, there was two things about it. Even Anthropic had a thing.
Yeah,
He
and
loves
what's funny is I
HTML.
think I independently did this, but in any event, I don't know. But I like being able to just click it and open it in a browser. It's just easy. It's
Yeah.
just easier for me to view and think
Yep.
about. Um, and I've
You can also
also,
scroll down with the HTML.
yeah, I mean, I just find it easier to access, and I'm continually uh refining, I guess, my project management with Claude and like how I want it to keep track of things and what's going on. But I just think I'm not going to call them I'm not going to call them learning pains. I guess I'm going to say like we're all figuring out how to use this
Yeah.
super powerful new technology. And then it's kind of like parenting a small child. And once you figured out you've mastered that stage, they change in dramatic ways, right? So like every
Yeah.
time I think I've like kind of, I've got a system that I like, Claude's abilities increase. And I assume that's going to keep me on my toes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I was first starting out after grad school and when I found that coding error in my job market paper, I
Hmm.
had to really go into the tank to kind of think through like why did that coding error happen? And like you can think in terms of like the proximate cause, and the proximate cause was I didn't put this thing, you know. But then
Mm-hmm.
like the ultimate cause was a very disorganized directory and
Hmm.
naming conventions that were bad and like weird version control stuff. And so then it was like meta level. I had to like create scaffolding that wasn't there because I sort of knew that I would never know all the syntax, so I had to figure out a way to make the error rate as low as possible. I feel like I'm having to do that now with Claude.
Yeah, me too. And in some ways, Claude moved me backwards. Like I think when it was
Yeah.
all my code, I was so much more
Yep.
organized. And when I have Claude just trying this and trying that, I don't always know where he's put things and how he's
Yeah.
organized it. So yeah, I'm wrestling with that too.
Well, tell me what you think about this. Okay, then we can move into work. But I was thinking like the thing that I've been thinking is that I've got to make zero errors in this research. Okay. And I was thinking to myself, you can do that in two ways. You can make zero errors the goal, and it would be like minimize errors subject to some constraint. And then the other would be zero errors is the constraint. And you will maximize research quality subject to there being absolutely zero errors. And I know it sounds like it's reversed, but I was just thinking, I have to make it completely non-negotiable that there be a single error anywhere in this, because if I don't make that the number one priority and refuse to tolerate it, then I might convince them. I might develop a research design, a research workflow that might be optimal to have errors or something.
Yeah,
And I think like I've just
that needs to be the
decided
constraint.
it's got to be the constraint. It's got to be the
Yeah.
constraint. Yeah, and that
Well,
means because when you do that, you will design the entire thing where you have to find out how psychologically you get to a place where you believe there are no errors. I mean, it's a lot of it is belief that there are no errors. You have done every single thing and you have come to the conclusion that there is no errors, which means you've got to kind of figure out errors in what dimensions, errors in the labeling of the figures, errors of the analytical sample, error of the econometrics, error of the code, and all this stuff.
do you feel like you're setting an impossible goal for yourself?
I think that
You can't set a constraint that's unverifiable.
that's why
It can be the aspiration.
it's got to be something like I believe there are no errors.
Hmm.
It's got to be epistemological because
Yeah.
obviously, like I can't know. If you make it such that it's like something ontological, like there is none, then nothing ever gets done. But I think the way that I used to work, I believed there was no errors.
Huh.
Like so the way I would work, I would go, I've looked at the code, I've ran it, I've got everything that goes. I can see, I just psychologically knew. And this is so different. I feel like because the production of the research is completely separated from the psychological verification that I used to have. I have to find a way to bring that back in. And I'm working on
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah,
And
me too.
I'll show you what I'm working on maybe in a couple of weeks after we've got some stuff. But I have some results for us.
I cannot wait.
Okay. All
Let's
right.
see. Does it also involve a quick review? Should we get everybody kind of back up and
Ooh,
running with us on
okay.
continuous
We
diff and
can,
diff?
yeah, we can do that.
I was
Let's
thinking
see.
about it on my way in. I was like running through it in my head, trying to make sure that I understand the basic intuition.
Okay. Let me just real quick. Oh, darn, there's a solution key to a test. Hopefully nobody saw. Nobody saw it.
Gonna have to
Don't
blur
look.
that out.
Don't look. Okay, let's see. All right, yeah, we do have something. All right,
Good.
yep. So
Okay,
I
so we
had
got our
this.
slideshow up.
Yep, we got our slideshow up, and we can take turns reading off the page. I haven't looked at this deck, so this is like I'm in Stresa, I believe, Stresa, Italy, which is on the Lake Maggiore, and I had a errand to run, and I set this to go, and I came back, and Claude had never started it, so I haven't yet had a chance to look at it. So this is going to be a surprise. But what I basically told Claude to do was I had already estimated our continuous thing, and so I sort of vaguely knew what was going to happen, but I had not myself really gone through it, and I had him do it, make a pipeline of code that's stored locally in our Dropbox, and I gave him instructions, told him that the audience is you and me and people from about 70 countries who listen to our podcast. So that's what he's got, and I gave him some more instructions. But it should
Mhm.
be that he's going to review, and if he doesn't, we can talk about it. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
sounds great.
Let's
Why do you
two.
think you chose this title, Two Parameters, One Menu?
I had this thing I wanted to because of our conversations the last two podcasts. I told him I wanted him to walk us through the fact that we could have approached this two different ways. Actually, we could only have approached it one way, but someone could do a different study than we've done, and it would be a different parameter. And I wanted him to walk us through his opinions on that.
Okay.
Okay.
All
So
right.
two parameters, one menu, distance, marriage, and the dose response of House Bill 2. All
Hmm.
right. So he's got this negative 0.0082. I don't know why he chose that. Because we had a negative oh 0.03, right?
Yeah, it depends on how many years we use. So when we're using a
Oh,
standard two-way fixed effects model,
that's right.
initially we estimated one with all of the years, and then when we were
Yeah.
decomposing it, we said let's just use one before and after. And unfortunately, Claude is not being very consistent, I think,
He's not
about
being
which.
consistent.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, any way we do it, we get small
We get small
negative
effects.
effects,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I'm gonna say is no evidence. Let's say any way we do it, we don't get evidence of a large effect. So we're in the uncomfortable position of decomposing null results.
Right.
So he's picking one of those, I guess.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So delta log. Wonder why he says that. We never did it that way. Well,
No,
it looks like he's done it. You know what though? He might be you know what? I'm just gonna ask him real quick. So there it's doing that thing again. Um in the deck that oh he's not gonna be able to answer it. Let's see. We'll have to go back. We'll have to answer that. I don't think it's gonna matter completely because I
it
think
won't.
he does approach this the way that I told him to do it. But let's see what he says. He did a regression of delta log on the change in distance. Something's not right. So we show that the number is a weighted average of county experiences. 56 no change counties form an atom at 0 with weight negative zero point 0.2. Counties below the mean enter negatively, above it positively. None of those weights were chosen. OLS chose them. All right. Before we pick an estimator, we pick a question. Here's what I wanted to put
Yeah.
up here. So we could have looked at this as what is the effect of being far from a clinic? And if you imagine that we did not have a panel data set and all we had was like 2014,
Hmm.
okay? And we just had cross-sectional data. Then you really couldn't have done change. You would have just had at that moment in time, how far are you from the nearest clinic?
Right.
But RJHR, and I believe, am I wrong, Caitlin? A lot of your work has been change.
All of it. All of
All
my
of it
work.
has been
Yeah.
change. Yes.
Right. But
Okay.
implicitly, Scott, and I think this is why we got so tied up with this question 2 episodes ago, which is that we're estimating when we use the old school models, we're
Hmm.
implementing these models with two-way fixed effects, right? So we've got a county level outcome at time t. We're
Hmm.
regressing it on distance to the nearest abortion facility, and we've got
Hmm.
county and year fixed effects. And
Yeah.
so the identifying variation for distance is coming from the counties where distance changes. Like that is what is identifying that coefficient. And we
Right.
interpret it as this is, I think always we've interpreted
Yeah.
these coefficients as this is the effect of a blank mile
Yeah.
increase in distance to the nearest facility.
I think that it's the only thing you could do with a panel fixed effects data set, right? Because
Yep.
I don't even know how you would do it. I don't even know what the regression specification would be. It's like
Yeah.
where you're wanting to know, well, what is the effect? Not what is the effect change over time, but well, so we were puzzling because you had brought up two episodes ago because something about the slides made you wonder, right? Because you kept saying, is Claude saying it's distance to, or is Claude saying the change in the distance?
Yes. And I was confused about it because I think in the typical setup for continuous diff and diff, when you're talking about the dose,
Yeah.
it seems to be relative to zero. Like
Yeah,
implicitly, all of those models are like, what's the effect of this dose relative to no dose? But in our
exactly.
situation, nobody starts at zero. There is no zero.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, so it's, at a sample, I guess. Nobody's living in an abortion clinic.
Nobody's living in an
That
abortion clinic.
that said, while I agree with you that I think all we can estimate with a diff-in-diff approach is parameter two, the effective distance changing.
Hmm.
I do think implicit in my work and our work has been, I guess, I think there's been an implicit assumption that if you see distance go up and as a result, births go up,
Hmm.
then it must be that being farther away from a clinic stops people from getting abortions that they otherwise would get. Right. So in
Yeah.
some sense, I think that we're implicitly inferring that it tells us something about the effect of just being far away from a clinic, but we're
Yeah.
identifying it based on change in distance.
So that's right. I completely agree. Except that the collection of counties under parameter one is technically different than the collection of counties under parameter two for all the
Hmm.
reasons we talked about last week,
Yeah.
which is, you know, you could being far from a clinic is like if you're 100 miles from a clinic, you're 100 miles from a clinic. But parameter two is like, I now have to drive 100 miles further.
Hmm.
And you could have somebody that went from 0 to 100, they're spending an hour and a half in the car. And you could have somebody go from 200 to 300 and whatever that is. And that's not the same collection of clinics,
Right.
and because now you're mixing close and far.
Right. And in our work, that's why we've always used either a
Yeah.
set of indicators or like a
Mhm.
polynomial.
Yeah.
Um, and we're kind of setting that aside for the time being. But yeah, it's definitely on my mind also.
Well, I mean, it's like the thing is, I always take the agnostic position as a starting point, which is as a starting point, I just say those are different research questions. If your research question is what is the effect of being far from a clinic, it's possible that, I mean, it's possible that panel fixed effects will not let you do it because panel fixed effects will use the change in distance.
Yeah.
And then for identification, it's almost like the identification of the panel fixed effects forces the question to be change in distance. And then this one is just a different research question. And I kind of have interpreted the latter kind of part of your career at least as like that is the research question
Yeah. I
that
think
you're
that's right.
interested in. Yeah.
Hmm.
I get okay. So we have this route that we're gonna follow, which is like I had him make a bunch of maps to try to illustrate that they're not the same parameter. Tried to kind of work through it, and we can skip through. And let's see, he's got 31 slides. So then we have our estimation. All right.
Okay.
So two parameters. He calls this the effect of being far away, and this is basically just in 2014. Uh, what is your distance compared to you living inside an abortion clinic?
Hmm.
Okay. For being far away. All
Yep.
right.
For being the
So
type whose
that's,
distance DOA.
yeah, exactly. And notice nothing in here says, well, what did you used to be?
Right.
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 Okay.
It's just compared to a counterfactual where at exactly the same time you live inside an abortion clinic. Like that's the
Exactly. Exactly.
unobservable
Like,
counterfactual.
yeah, yeah. It's just randomization of distance at a point in time. It's not, randomizing driving distance increasing. It's just like I'm gonna have a lottery, and Caitlin's gonna live inside an abortion clinic, and Scott's gonna live in the furthest distance from it, and like that's the experiment. We're not doing that. It's almost like we're going. I'm gonna randomize everybody's driving distance going up.
Hmm.
So actually, and it can only go up. It really can't go down, right? For the most part, because it's all closures
In our experiment, right?
in our
Yeah.
experiment.
There are other
Yep.
states where it goes down, but yes.
Because of openings.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Right. But
Okay,
in our
so
experiment, it's
it's
going to
only
go
closed
up.
because we are exploiting a law change that closes. which can
Correct.
only have a non-negative effect.
Well, in the short run, recall that we have the problem in McAllen where they closed and then they eventually had an exception carved out for them and
Right,
reopened
right.
about a year
Yeah,
later. But in the short run, our immediate shock, let's think of it as every place's distance going up.
got it. Yeah, yeah. So, all right, effective going away. So look here, the difference is a delta.
Hmm.
This is like didn't change, and then
Versus
this
did
is
change.
versus did change. Okay.
Yes.
So I had to make a map, and again, I feel like we're 6 months in, and now nothing surprises us as much anymore. But remember when we started this, we were like, we were cooing over these count over these maps.
I know. Now we're just like, yeah, Claude, you
Now we're
make that.
like,
Poor Claude.
exactly,
Also, recall
exactly.
when we started, I refused to anthropomorphize Claude, and now Claude is like, I spend a lot of time with Claude, and he's definitely a he, and I'm very uncomfortable with this.
I, man, I'm trying to say it now. Or is everybody coming around to say he?
No, you
I
should
just,
say it. He
I
is
should say he or
dangerous. I think you should say it.
why is
Uh,
it dangerous? Why do you think it's dangerous?
we should not think of this technology as our friend when it
Does that mean it's the friend? Does
when
that mean it's the friend if you do that?
if you anthropomorphize it.
Doesn't mean it's a friend.
Well, it
Fr-
means I feel like the danger, and I'm
You
obviously
know,
doing this, so like
friendship
I've
is
got other things
only
to worry about. The
C.S.
danger
Lewis has a
is,
book. C.S. Lewis
oh,
has a book called The Four Loves, and friendship is only one of them. Keep going. Sorry.
oh, interesting. No, I was
Yeah,
just
it's
gonna
the
say,
only
I think
one.
the danger is when you say he. Claude feels
Mhm.
cute, cuter and friendlier and fuzzier, and I think that AI is dangerous. And I think that we should be reminding ourselves of that all the
Do you
time.
call? Would you ever call a lion a he? Because lions are dangerous. Lions are dangerous.
I love that. Yeah, I sure would, but a lion actually has gender.
I know, but it is dangerous. It is dangerous. So you can still use pronouns and know and recognize things as dangerous.
Okay, you're
All
right.
right,
I'm
let's
going to
go.
come
What
up
do
with
we have
another
here? So
justification.
tell me what we're looking at. It's your turn.
Well, we're looking at some counties that are, it says parameter one's county is roughly 50 miles away after HB2. So it is using, now, none of these counties are exactly 50.0000 miles away from a clinic, but so it's picking some sort of bandwidth and just showing us which counties are about 50 miles away. And there's kind of a smattering of them across the states. They're kind of, I would say they're on the outskirts of metropolitan areas. They're like near San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, but not in them.
What do you think about that color?
It's lovely. It's perfect. I really like
Teal.
teal.
I didn't tell him to do that. I wonder if he kind of picked up on that. Maybe he, they. Okay, look at this
Oh
one. What
no,
is
because now
this?
he's got orange. He knows, by the way, in the project folder that I have different aesthetic preferences. Because when I go in to mess around with things, I'm like, it's Caitlin.
He knew you went to UT Austin, so he put a little burnt orange in there.
Well, I don't know about burnt orange, Scott. Okay, so then he's showing us here parameter two's counties, which are places where distance changed,
Yeah,
increased by about 50 miles. And it mostly looks, they're not side by side here, but it mostly looks like they're different counties.
yeah. Let's see if they are.
Oh,
Made him make
and
made
now
him
they
put them
are
on top
side
of
by
each.
side.
Made him put them on top of each other.
Yeah, no county is both. Thank you, Claude. So we can see that we would be using completely different counties.
Yeah.
If I'm not, I don't think we can identify the first one, but if we were trying to identify these
You'd
two
have to
parameters,
do no, you'd have to do a totally different design, I think. I
yeah,
think you'd
maybe
have
an
to do
IV.
IV or matching or like there's other stuff, but I don't think you
Hmm.
can do it. I don't think you can do it this way.
Right.
Yeah, totally. So that's interesting. This is the point. The average treated on the treated for these teal ones could easily be in the average, just even if it was distance of 50 for, I mean, it's not the same population.
Hmm.
It's
They're
not the
different
same
counties.
treatment and it's different counties.
Yeah.
Subtle details,
Okay.
subtle details. So here we go. Hannah's table. I don't remember when I did that. So
Uh,
here's 11 counties that gained 50.
hmm.
He's got five. And he's saying there were 11 counties that gained 50, and there were 21 counties that were 50 before and after.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's so he's setting that up. Even with parameter two plus 50 is not one treatment. Bell started a clinic, passed through 50. Hansford gave him the. All right. So we kind of get it. We get it, right?
Yeah, we get it.
All right, so tell me, read this, walk the reader through, the listener through this slide.
So then he's asking what parameter a policymaker wants. Do they want to know the effect of distance or the effect of a change in distance? And Claude
Mhm.
claims it depends on the lever. Do you say lever or lever?
Yeah,
Lever?
lever. I think I do
Lever?
the lever. Yeah,
I say lever. Um, and so for levels, Claude says that the question would be where should a new or mobile clinic go to matter most? Steady state access gaps, which residents live, quote, too far today.
right.
I guess this depends on who your policymaker is. Claude seems to be a policymaker who wants to increase abortion access, but okay, Claude. Um,
Yeah.
and then the other one is changes in ATT. And then it says closures. What did HB2 do? Litigation, evaluation, and forecast. If a particular clinic closes tomorrow, what happens to these counties? So
That reminds me so much of the direction of your research.
yeah, absolutely. I'm
You
reassured that
know?
my research is all over in the right-hand column
Yeah.
under changes in distance, and like that's what I do with it. Phew.
Because the before the reversal of Roe, you actually had a paper predicting.
Yep.
And so that is,
Yeah.
so you've
Using what we
always
know.
been, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Using what we
you,
know about changes in distance to predict what would happen when they changed after Dobbs. Yeah.
I mean, I always knew back then that we were doing this, but I think until for some reason, when you asked that question 2 episodes ago, it just really made it salient about we were going to have to measure things differently, you know? We never had to make that decision before because we could get distance at a point in time,
Yeah.
but
It's
we couldn't use that for this question.
it's implicit in two-way fixed effects,
It's,
right?
yeah,
You put in level distance, identification hinges on the changes in distance. That's where it comes from. That's what it's estimating. And what I'm continuing to think could be really important about this conversation is that the new continuous diff-in-diff isn't set up the same way. And
no,
so
it's
folks are
not.
going to have to think about this. If what they
They're going to have
want
to think. Yeah,
is
yeah.
the change in the dose, they are going to need to enter that into the model. They're going to have to put, like, for us, we have to put change in distance in the
You had
model,
to
not
put in change
distance.
in distance. You know what I was thinking, Caitlin? You could theoretically do this one, okay, maybe with diff and diff. You just would be using, if you were to do this one, okay, you would be using zeros, counties that it were zero distance, or we decide what a zero is, okay, before and after, which is going to be Harris, Dallas, Fort Worth, big cities.
Yeah, San
I think you
Antonio
could, I
and El
think
Paso.
yeah, you're going to be using big cities to impute the counterfactual for everybody else. I
Yep.
think, right? You could
Uh,
do it, but then
That's
you're
probably a
imputing
bad
off of these
idea.
it seems like it's a bad idea because you're
Yeah.
you're imputing counterfactuals off some of the biggest cities in the United. I mean, and some of them, I mean, Harris is one of the biggest cities, is a
Yep.
massive city. And you're
Yeah.
imputing Waco's and Temple's counterfactual from Harris, you know?
Yep.
So you could do it. And so I always think like this is a great our project here is a great example of be clear about what your parameter is. It's going to
Yeah.
drive decisions because we're going to have to calculate a difference, not insert the level. We're going to have to
Hmm.
put in a change over time.
Hmm.
And that's easily something, Caitlin, that we might not have done because we
Yep.
didn't have we didn't have to do it on the JHR.
Scott, if we hadn't had an hour-long conversation of confusing each other,
Yeah,
we might have just absolutely done the wrong thing here,
yeah,
which makes me I'm happy we've been talking about it. I think it's really important, and it also
yeah,
strikes me as lucky that we're recording a podcast and having detailed conversations like this.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think that this is a good public good for everybody. It's not like you and I went in kind of knowing that we were going to do that, but I think it's really important that we have that conversation, which is like you could, I mean, maybe it's not like a huge problem here, like, but if this is this, what if the signs were different, you know?
Hmm.
Because it's different counties and it's a different research question. What if the signs are different?
Hmm.
And because this is more of like an extensive margin kind of thing, like I all of a sudden have to drive further. But this is more
Hmm.
of like an intensive margin thing, which is like my whole life I've had to drive this far, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
And that, even from a behavioral point of view, seems kind of different because
Hmm.
this is like, well, in the long run, I'm in general equilibrium. And in some ways, your research has been about the movement to the new equilibrium,
Yes,
the
in
partial
every
equilibrium.
way.
Yeah,
In every
exactly.
way.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So I kind of put in here, he was going to tell us about the role that no anticipation plays, but let's get to the, oh, he's got here the zeros. So the 16 baseline clinic counties, these are,
These are counties that had clinics and the clinic didn't close.
yeah. So parameter one untreated. This is in the dose in levels. And then no clinic at baseline. All right, let's just go. All right, so here we go. We've got we've got some estimates. So five ways to estimate it for the delta. He's going to do the delta.
I don't know why
So
his
here's an
deltas are
easy.
all superscripts, by the way, but I'm gonna live with it. I don't get that.
Yeah, I know. I don't like that either. Uh, Here we go. So every estimator on the menu eats the same two ingredients. Oh, he didn't. I don't know. He should have gone. Maybe that's fine. All right. So ingredient one, the dose. Here's the
Hmm.
dose, the difference. So he's
Is the
limiting
change
it.
in distance. And
Yeah.
what's super key, I've been wondering about this, and so I'm happy to see that we're going to call a change of less than 10 miles no change. And I think
Yeah.
that's really smart because we have counties with multiple clinics where one clinic could close. It happened to be the nearest one to the population centroid. It barely perturbs the distance, but we should not, we shouldn't be calling a distance change of a mile or 2 miles something meaningful. It's just
Right.
mostly measurement error.
Right.
So I
What would
like
you
it
want to
that
do in a project like this, though, Caitlin? Would you want to say, if you saw a paper, would you want to say, I'd like to see it as 5, 10, 25? Like, are you
sure
going
it's
to
an
ask that of
it's
people who write these
well, it's an
papers now?
easy referee question to ask, but since everybody knows it, I would expect there to be a footnote and an appendix saying that it's robust to choosing different thresholds.
Kind of like regression discontinuity with like a
Hmm.
few different bandwidths. Okay, yeah, that's probably worth saying out loud.
Yep.
So here we go. Dose at 121 no change counties. What do you
Okay.
think? All
That
right.
sounds right.
All right, good. All right, 132 treated. We're only using, it looks like we're only doing 2 years. I may have told him that.
Yep.
And the D mean change outcome. Okay, so I gave him a lab of an AJ policy that I teach where it will, this lab will teach him the syntax. So I just wanted to make sure he read it carefully. So he
Okay.
found marriage rates fall 3.5% in our control counties.
Yeah.
Secular decline in marriage 2012 to 2014, 3.5%. Is that a big number?
Yeah.
A big number?
3.5% decline in marriage over 2 years. I mean, these knowing that these counties in our control group are going to be pretty urban, they're going to have a
Yeah.
lot of marriages.
So their
I don't have
baseline
a
is good.
confidence interval here, but I'm like, man, that seems pretty big, and I think it's probably not just
Well,
imprecise.
3.5% off of how well we've population denominated. So I don't know what exactly, but it is there have been a secular decline in marriage in general from 2010 to 2020. Is that like because
It's
that's
a
kind
great
of our
question.
rank?
I believe so.
Yeah.
That's certainly what we saw when we were looking at trends in the data.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. I thought we were looking at marriage counts. Were we looking at marriage rates?
I think we looked at both.
Both. I guess.
Hannah brought us every variety of slide, but remember
Yeah.
including like from the census?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So we've got a secular decline, 3.5% happening here. And he is demeaning the data. Now, technically, this is actually a diff-in-diff. But it's a diff-in-diff at the individual level. It's every county, 132 counties are getting a delta Y. So it's like, it's a 2 by 2. Delta Y at the county level and that is the average delta Y for our control group. So this is a diff and diff, but it's at the individual level.
Yep. So for every county, it's how much did their marriages change relative to the average change for the control counties.
Yeah. So, all you need for two by twos is if you have a never treated control group, which is what these are, they have Y zeros in both periods, and you have no anticipation, which means all of them were their dose was zero at the beginning. This is why, by the way, this is another reason why we cannot with continuous, Caitlin, use uh level because for this method, you need the treatment group to have a zero dose at baseline.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you actually can't even do the level with continuous. And it's not for the same reason as you can't do it with fixed effects. You got to have a zero dose for the treatment group at baseline. And
Yep.
that would mean, oh yeah, you could. That would mean using Harris County, et cetera, who's living on
Yeah.
top of stuff. All right. So here we go. So I wanted him to show you code, but it's in Stata. I mean, it's
It's
in
an R.
R. Yeah, it's in R. So, but I was like, show Caitlin's one. I want to see the code.
Yeah.
So he's
I
got the
mean, I can
code
code an
here.
R.
All right, well then he's got it. So he's got the dose,
Yeah.
and if you are less than 10, then you're in the
Yeah.
control.
Yep.
And he's doing delta Y. He's doing mu zero, weighted means. Maybe that just means average. Weighted dot mean. Is that what it means? Weighted dot mean means.
Yeah. I think it's population. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing
I don't
population
know.
total. We told him to do that, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
he is doing population
Okay.
total.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So he's taking two, he's doing it. Use dy, dose semi equals zero. Uh, huh. Okay, I'm hoping this is right. I don't read R very well.
I
So
mean, it's not my native language.
yeah, I speak Italian I actually do speak R better than Italian, but all right. Here we go. So I asked him to Bennett.
Okay.
And we got a little bit of negatives here, but the intervals are huge, or at least they include zero and 50 to 100. So these are different diffs. These are
So
different
let me
diffs.
ask about this bin. Let me make sure I understand this bin because what we're looking at here is four changes in distance across the x-axis 10 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 and 200, 250, more than 150. And for
Yeah,
each one of these, the y-axis is showing the ATT, the change in the log marriage rate relative to the control. So I understand that for every one of these, the control is our 121 no change counties, and they're
yeah,
3.5, like the 3.5% decrease in marriage there. But what we're
yeah,
doing is instead of having every single one of the 130 whatever treated counties compared to that, they've been binned, right? So there's a group of them that are 10 to 50 miles. So am I looking at the average? Let's suppose that there are, I'm just making up a number, 30 counties that have a 10 to 50 mile increase. Am I
yeah,
looking here at the average of
yeah.
their 30 individual ATTs?
Exactly. That's exactly what it
Okay.
is. Because I had him basically do first differences for everything, but then I'm like, Bennett, take the group that are 10 to 50 and then just run a diff and diff. So it's basically like two-way fixed effects regression on this group of counties, 50 to 100 group of counties, 100 to 150 group of counties. So
Mhm.
these are diff and diff two-way fixed effects estimates. Um, but it's the average delta Y zero, the average delta Y for this group of treated units. This is what's defining our treated units. And then that's our control group units grouped. Actually, what it might be? I think that's what it is. Um,
Okay.
I think that's what it is, actually, but he's doing this demeaning thing, but I believe that's right. I believe that's right. He would know. Yeah, we need to check. I'm gonna ask him.
We might be able to see it in that R code. Maybe I didn't read it carefully enough, but let's just ask him.
Okay. On slide, out of curiosity. Um, did you, when Benning, go expectation delta y squiggle, or did you take delta y squiggle, which was already a two by two, and regress that onto distance twice? Hopefully he did not do that, but he's
Hmm.
got, um, what's happening? It looks like he's saying every estimator is doing this. So hopefully that means he four two by twos. Well, let's see what he does. All right. So, but while he's doing that, only the longest distance move. Look at that.
Yep. And that's something we saw before, even when we were looking. I mean, that was true when we were thinking about the weights and which which counties were really influencing the two-way fixed effects results by virtue of just being really
Mm,
far away from the atom, right?
mm. Yeah, those
But
wouldn't be negatively weighted too. Those would have been weighted
positively,
correctly. Yeah, they'd have been
yeah.
positively weighted. They
But
would have had a
here we have
weird
a
variance weight.
but here we have like a much bigger estimate for this group. So this is really, I mean, I don't buy, I, I'm side-eyeing all these results, but which we can talk about. But what we essentially see here is absolutely no evidence of an effect for small increases in distance.
Yeah, yeah.
Although the standard errors are big, so really it's very imprecise.
We just can't
Um,
reject. Yeah.
yeah, so we can't reject that there's something, but there's no evidence of an effect. Um, and
This is
then
also without any covariates, by the way, for whatever
yes.
that's. Keep
And then
going.
for the 37 counties that had the biggest increases, there we're estimating that marriages declined by 3.8% relative to the no change control group. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Relative to the no change control group. Relative to the no change control group. Yep.
Hmm.
Uh, let's see. Here we go. Good. He did the raw delta Y. So he says,
Okay.
good instinct to check, but no, there's no double subtraction. I regressed raw delta Y, not the demeaned, onto Ben dummies over the full sample with no change as the omitted reference. You get different standard errors. Okay,
Okay.
good. All right. Huh. There's a lot of counties in here, Caitlin. We're
There
not
sure
these
are.
stand the standard errors are we're well above the problematic too small of a county. I actually thought maybe this might be a weird small number of counties thing, but we've got 37 treated counties and 121 control counties.
Yeah.
It's way
Yeah.
bigger than a state level panel data set.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that comparing these ATTs across bins is fraught. Like that's what the whole point here that you've been warning me about, that all the authors are warning us about, is that we might not want to do that because
Yeah,
of,
we might not want to do this, but
right?
I like doing it first though.
I mean, for me, what makes me uncomfortable and hesitant about making any inferential leap, even though I know it might not necessarily be the case that I should compare them, is that the first two bins show the point estimates are no effect. The
Yeah.
third 100 to 150 miles is an increase in marriage. And then the only one that's like statistically significant, but again, none of these are very precise, but the only one that's statistically significant is this big negative effect. And for me, I'm like, why would it suddenly kick in there like that? Like I just feel a little, it seems sus to me. But I definitely want to keep talking about it because I think there's a lot of other things that we can throw at it. But I'm also just not ready to conclude that
Yeah.
increased distance, if it's a big increase, reduces marriage.
What I like, putting aside the behavioral interpretation, that it seems like you're questioning the identification and the whether or not to believe this big grouping.
Given the
I
other
like
results.
the, I like the I like us starting with the binning because so easy to interpret. You know,
Hmm.
it's like take a bunch of counties, do a diff-in-diff. Change a bunch of
Hmm.
counties, do a diff-in-diff.
Hmm.
And we're doing them separately, and I know how to interpret them. Now I am technically mixing a lot of doses together. He
Yes,
gives this worry here about it's not even that it's only kicking in there. This is mixing 160 miles with 307 miles.
right.
And
And so,
technically, go ahead.
well, I was going to say, sorry, that so my understanding from last time, as you're walking me through continuous diff and diff, is that it gives us a menu of other options for
Yeah,
how to deal with this problem, right? So there are
totally.
other things we can do that I think we definitely want to do because I'm not a fan of bins, but
Yeah, you're not a fan of Ben's. I asked him to do polynomials. I asked because I remembered you saying you like polynomials last week. You were like,
yes,
can we do polynomials?" And I was like, "Claude, do it." So he did it. He said they're global though. Hmm.
I don't understand that. Treated
He's
county
putting
theme.
in, I think he's putting in a quad, I think he's putting in a, well, he's doing quadratic and cubic. See, I think it's just on the, how the heck are you doing this? Hold on. How are you doing this? How the heck are,
Let me understand here, because basically, here is my rudimentary grasp of what's going on, which is very rudimentary. I'm very happy to run it by you.
Mhm.
So, the point that is being made in the continuous diff and diff paper is that really kind of the kosher thing to do if you want an ATT is to compare every group that gets a particular dose to a control group that got none.
Yeah.
And that you may not want to do any comparison of a group that got one dose to a group that got the other because
Yeah.
right, that might be a bad idea.
That
And so
is the lines are,
yes.
if you're interpreting the lines as point estimates, we're fine because you only need parallel trends. But if you're interpreting the lines as if you go up in distance, it will change the effect.
Hmm.
That is the strong that needs strong parallel trends.
Yes. Yes. So the kind of challenge with their strategy is that you only have one county with any one particular dose, right? Like no counties, this is continuous change in distance. No two counties are getting the exact same down to the decimal place increase in distance. So you're kind of grouping some counties and you need some statistical way to say here's a little group of my treated counties that are pretty similar. And the bins is one way that I don't like. And all of these other approaches are ones that smooth them, that kind of are
Yeah.
using some of their neighbors, and we're just
Yeah.
picking how we smooth them and weight their neighbors. Is that
Well,
fair?
look at the, yeah, I don't even think this wasn't what I was asking him to do. He actually did a global. He's going take delta Y and just regress it onto travel distance. That's all he did. He doesn't even do county fixed effects. I mean, I guess
Yeah, I don't
the county fixed effects are getting dealt with the
with the
change.
deltas
Yeah,
because
with the
it's
deltas.
delta distance, delta marriage, but this is not what we were talking about.
No, it's not what I was talking about. I actually thought he was going to do the splines, but maybe he's going to do that here. So he does the spline. Yeah, look, here's the thing. This is where it's going to come from, Caitlin. He's finding a little bit of negative right there is, I think, kind of corresponding to this a little bit, and
Hmm.
then positives and then negative. Maybe this is similar. So let's see what he does here. All right. So this is polynomials but local. This is polynomials but local. So he did I think he's doing the spline. So basically, I believe he cuts it, and then within each cut,
Okay,
he's doing the
I
polynomials.
got it.
That's what I was wanting him to do here.
Yeah, yeah, I got it.
Okay. All right. Well, we're
But
gonna
so we
see
can
it.
look at this one. We like this one. We can look right here.
Yeah.
And I mean, what I want to say, first of all, is, we're staring at these, fits and confidence intervals, but also just check out the scatter plot, man. There's some noise
Yeah.
in this marriage data. You can just see
Yeah.
why a big reason I think that we're getting imprecision here is there's a lot of noise in these marriages.
Yeah.
And when we fit this spline with the local polynomial within each bin, it you see an effect that starts positive, then the effect goes negative, then the effect's positive again, then the effect's negative. But the confidence intervals are pretty much almost always crossing zero. Like I look at this and think there's just not strong
It looks
evidence
like
of an
here
effect.
and here, it breaks the line right in there, and then
Sure.
right there, and then it fans out. But this is probably right there. But there's nothing there. Look, that actually is a little bit significant. There's actually no county there,
Yeah.
you know.
And even,
So
I don't want to join the cult of statistical significance. Like, yeah, every once in a while the confidence interval doesn't quite cross zero, but like these are not very precise estimates.
no, but look how they're okay. The shapes are similar though, a little bit. Negative, 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 negative. And then
Yeah.
look at this one. This is the local linear kernel, which is this smoothing method. And I just want to ask him real quick, are the spline and kernel regressions using the imputation from the delta Y zero guys? Because I don't know how that's doing that. If he's doing that there. Because you're supposed, I don't, if you're just running regressions off the delta Ys, but you're not, it all depends on if he said he's using the ingredients. So if he's doing this, I think the answer is yes. If it's delta Y squiggle, let's see what he says. I think it is. I think it's the demeaned outcome.
Mm-hmm.
The LM, the
Mm-hmm.
Y. I don't know. Oh, we'll find out in a second. So here we go. Oh, dang, you gotta look what you gotta do to get significance on this thing. A four. Well, that's gonna be a lot of papers that don't get significance. You gotta find a T statistic that's two times as big. I'm gonna let Hannah in real quick. You want me to let Hannah
Well,
in?
Scott, I think we should tell her to wait and finish this and now probably cut this because we want two separate episodes, right?
Yeah. All right, I'm
We'll
gonna
have to cut
pause it
this
and we're
part.
gonna tell her real quick. I'm gonna pause
Okay.
it. Okay, so he is for all those splines and kernels using basically the D mean. He's using the two by two.
Mm-hmm.
So this is while I actually did not pick up on this last time, this new estimator must be, I mean, that seems really very that would be a p-value. What would that be in a regression if you had a T statistic of 4? What would that be, Kaylin?
It'd
Like a
be less than point
point
oh oh
oh
0.0001,
oh. Yeah, that'd be pretty
beyond what
bad.
I even pay attention to.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Okay, yeah.
But
It's like,
I don't know anything about this new estimator. So I don't know what this
yeah,
critical value is from. I don't know if it's from a standard normal. I don't know
right.
what this is.
Yeah, we
I
have to
know
find that
zero.
out. He's got the 1.96. Isn't that from the standard normal?
Sure, but I don't know why Claude's comparing them.
Yeah, uniform.
I
So,
literally do not know what is. Okay, so what we're looking at is Claude is talking about another approach to how to essentially smooth the counties that have similar doses. And it's the Chen Christensen Canales sieve.
yeah.
Says it's upgraded. It's an upgrade because the flexibility is data driven. That it's going to, instead of choosing the splines kind of arbitrarily like we've been doing, that it picks things on the basis of the data. That sounds good. I
Pick
don't
the
understand
spline.
how.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right,
And then it
right.
says critical value 4.23 instead of 1.96. And
Yeah.
I basically don't know why or what that means.
Okay, so
I don't know what distribution we're talking about.
note to self, make a note that we need to understand. Slide
25.
25,
Yeah.
me and Caitlin for next time or in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. All right. Well, okay. Are you surprised to learn that if you make the critical value over 4, that nothing's significant?
I don't know whether I should be surprised because I still don't know the distribution, but
It
here's what I'll
sounds
say.
like a big number. All right, go ahead.
It's interesting to me with this approach that we see a very similar curve. So
Yeah.
all of these approaches, including my hated approach of just binning things, all point towards similar signs, right? Like every
Mhm.
single one of them is giving similar point estimates. I
Yeah.
think in some ways that should be reassuring. We don't have to argue over what our preference is. But they do have different amounts of like kind of precision, and the confidence interval on this last method that we I just found out existed and that we don't understand yet, or I don't. This confidence interval is really big.
It's big.
Yeah.
Point estimates are point estimate. All right, we'll have to figure this out. I mean, it's big. It's something to do with he wouldn't put it in italics if this wasn't a big deal. It's something about the uniform inference whole curve. Yeah, 95%. So I don't know, something about that. But point estimates are negative, positive in here, negative. There
Yeah.
are no covariates. I don't know yet what to make of that because we are implicitly comparing every county that saw an increase to every county that did not see an increase. Well, that's what we're doing. I mean, that's what the design is, right? I mean, it's not
Right.
delta y equaling 0 is not Harris County. It's a few places. It's 100
Well,
over 100 counties.
wait, it's delta distance equaling zero,
Yeah.
right?
Delta
Not delta
distance, my
y.
bad, not delta y,
Yeah.
delta
Yeah, I got
distance.
confused because, yeah, okay. So, yeah, I mean, delta distance, there's 121 counties in our control group. This is not just five of the most populous counties in Texas.
Yeah.
This is a big chunk of the counties in Texas, almost half.
Well, you know what? Is this true, Caitlin? If Harris counties, okay, if Harris County's clinic never closes, and let's say every county that is 50 miles from it, then that means anybody that was in proximity to Harris stays in proximity to Harris.
Right, exactly. And
That's
they're in the
why it's
control
all
group.
being driven by, it's still kind of being driven by the cities, I bet.
Yes and no. So I agree with what you just said, but it's also the case that there are many very rural counties that are not part of the Houston or Dallas, Fort Worth or Austin or San Antonio metro areas. They're out there
Yeah,
for whom those were still the nearest destination, and so their
right.
distance didn't change. So there are
That's what I'm saying. That's what
there
I'm
are
saying.
control counties starting at high distances, and those high distances don't change.
That's what I'm saying. It's like here we have, okay, like all these rural counties, all right, this is what they were before, and Harris never closes. They stay the same. They're still being driven. My point is like they're still being driven by Houston.
Hmm.
Because so it's like this is the close counties. Those 121 counties are what portion of the 121 counties are the close counties, you think?
I think
Close
we
counties
should
to the big cities.
let's mark this for next time.
Yeah.
Um, Rather than guess, I want to say this all comes back to my mind um, to this question that we're kind of wrestling with, which is some of our control counties started far away and stayed far away. Some of them didn't, started close and stayed close. Some of our treated counties, their increase in distance is from almost zero, right? Like they had a facility really close and then it increased and then it went closed. And then other ones, they were already far away and they just got even farther away. And like, I think that a lot of what we're wrestling with is about these nonlinear effects of changes in distance that we think
Yeah. Yeah.
probably exist. That
Yeah.
we're just like, nothing we're doing here is capturing yet. And I think we've really
Yeah.
got to wrestle with that.
We have to wrestle with it for sure. For sure. Here we go. Five estimators, one band. This is a pretty picture. This is like those diff-in-diff pictures where
That
you're
is
like, do
beautiful.
every
Oh
one of
my
them.
gosh. This is one of the most beautiful visualizations. Claude has amazed me again. It's gorgeous visualization showing the ATT across doses for all of our different approaches
Yeah.
to smoothing. And what it shows again is that there's some evidence of a nonlinearity where like sometimes we see negative effects, sometimes positive, and also they're just super, super imprecise. And the confidence interval that we're looking for, which is from the last estimator, is roughly between like a 30% decrease to a 30% increase, which is a big, giant not knowing, right? In a really big way.
The thing I was noticing is I'm kind of had something contradicted. I was thinking, well, they're all kind of similar, but when you see them overlaid, they're really not as similar as I was thinking. Like that actually is doesn't look, yeah. Now
You think
it
the last
it's because of the
one,
scale. Look at the see the scale. He had it on the -8 to 4. When you put everybody together, this this B spline thing that he was doing with the where he we chose 5 spines, it went positive a lot sooner. He doesn't
that's
go
true.
positive
You're
until
exactly right. Yeah.
150.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I was missing a key detail there
It
for
was
sure.
qualitatively, this like cubic thing, but at very different places.
Yeah. Can I ask you a dumb question?
Uh-huh.
This comes back to my rudimentary understanding of this. So I thought of the continuous diff-in-diff estimator as really coming from them making this point that you want your control group to be the not treated group, right? Zero
Yeah.
change in distance.
Yeah.
And then there's like, you have to make some sort of choice about how you want to group your doses. And
Yeah.
so I thought of this as kind of a menu of choices, but the way Claude has labeled this, only the very last smoothing choice is labeled cont DID, I guess, for continuous
Exactly. Yeah,
DID.
I'm
So
sorry. I thought
are they
no.
saying you should only use the last one?
No, yeah. So I wanted you to see. Can you remember how in that last I wasn't very clear. I apologize. In that last deck, I was like, this is what you would do if you manually splined it, and this is what you would do. We need
Hmm.
like I was trying to say like there's historically we could have gone about this. We would have had the standard errors wrong, and we would have had all these arbitrary points, these researcher degrees of freedom, but you could bend, you could spline it, you could kernel regression it or whatever. And like they're all like things a person might do, not that they're correct, but they like are things people could do. But Kant DID is the only one that is in the paper. And so I just wanted to kind of have as a talking point, not as an option, but as a talking point. Kant DID is the only one. These were all just like uh, you know, aren't blue collar Kant DID type stuff. I was kind of throwing at us just to kind of
Well,
build
wait, so
to
I'm
it
really
the
confused though, because
drama.
they weren't, but then they weren't estimated with standard two-way fixed effects, and weren't they all using limiting the control group to being no
No,
change in
he was
distance?
yeah, they are using this. They are doing that
So they're
variable as the
not your
outcome.
standard old school, I'm just going to throw two-way fixed effects at this because
Exactly.
they're all using the zero dose control group, which is the kind
Exactly.
of okay. So
They're
you're
just
saying here what you're doing is saying we will take the insight that's being offered here, which is you should choose the no dose group as the control group. And
yeah,
you're showing kind of a menu of options of how you could then construct the estimator. But the authors say there's only one way to do it, and it's that fifth way that I don't understand.
exactly.
Chen
So that's
Christensen.
right. So our whole thing was like, look, we don't have if it was a dummy variable, we know what we would do. We would just be like, do a two-way fixed effects, do whatever. And so like that's what you would do if it was a dummy. But we've got 132 doses. So you're like,
Hmm.
well, what do I do now? And my whole thing was like, well, what might they have done in the Stone Age? And the
Mm.
Stone Age, they would have been like bends. And you're like, okay, but they don't, but that's mixing things. What would they have done if they didn't know about this paper, but knew about the problems of
Hmm.
using these things? And then I was like, well, you could do a global polynomial. And the global polynomial was that.
Uh-huh.
Okay. It was like it was basic. I actually don't really know. I don't really know what this is doing because you're you're basically seeing how the two by two varies with distance. I don't know what that is. So, huh. Okay. Anyway, he does it. All of these were like meant to be certain kinds of smoothing methods. This is the
Okay.
only one. This is the only one that's correct. This is the only one that is unbiased and has the correct standard errors, the correct confidence intervals. This is only. This is the author's paper. That one, and it is different. That is the. It is different. Like the others doesn't even. So if you were gonna do the Stone Age and you were gonna do the blue collar, version of this, you're not unless Claude did it wrong, which he might have, and we need to dig into that. Um, you don't get close to the same thing, Not put aside the standard errors, you don't get close to the same thing. What's crossing your mind?
I mean, two things. One, I think I'm fundamentally not understanding the comparison because if the Stone Age stuff isn't what I would have set up if I wasn't being given the instruction to use the zero dose as the
Yeah,
control group. So
this
for
is
me, I'm
assuming.
confused about the comparison, I guess.
Okay, done. So the assumption was always uh I came to my own belief that I have to use the delta Y zeros.
Hmm.
Okay. And
Hmm. So
so it's
starting
like
there.
it starts there. It says
Okay.
I have of my own like conclusion. I just have never read this paper where they propose
I see.
use
So
this
you're like, what if
seed.
I tried a bunch of stuff that aren't
What if I
these?
tried a bunch of stuff? Right,
Okay.
exactly. It's like so like this is kind of like a very insightful author that like thought diff-in-diff needs untreated controls in both periods, Like that's what they got there. They just weren't sure what they were supposed to do instead.
Hmm.
They didn't know to, or they didn't come up with their own estimator. They came up
Hmm.
with their own estimator, but it was binning and all this stuff. And so what we're seeing here, and I do want to go back over and just to be 100% sure that it's doing what I think it's doing.
Yeah.
What this is saying is if this is doing what I think it's doing, so we need to check on that. It's just a smoothing method. All right, we're gonna figure it out. We'll have to
Okay.
figure it out for next time. I'm gonna
All right.
ask
The
him.
other thing I'll just
Uh,
leave you with is I am very, very willing to believe that this choice could matter in a big way. But I think we have, unfortunately, I mean, this is what an authentic research experience looks like, but we picked a research topic, and in general, we just have a really noisy outcome and we're not getting super precise
yeah,
estimates. So, even when the point estimates differ,
yeah.
I'm like, man, we don't know. Like the confidence intervals are really wide.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, does it fit a slightly different shape? Maybe. But would you look at any of these and reach a conclusion like that, the effect of a change in distance on marriage rates? I mean, not yet. I think I think
No.
Hannah's going to bring us some information on some factors that might be affecting marriage rates, and that'll help us think about controls. There's a lot more that we can throw at this, but right now,
Yeah.
I'm just not seeing evidence of an effect.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I think we both are saying we want a little bit more we kind of want to chew on this result a little bit more. Is
Yeah.
that we're not done.
Oh,
We've got
gosh.
we've got some stuff up and going. We got estimators. We had more questions than answers, and so we'll do that in 2 weeks.
Sounds great.
Okay. I'm gonna go for a swim in a lake, and I'll see you in 2 weeks, or I'll see you in a week when we have Hannah on the show.
Awesome. That sounds
All
great,
right.
Scott. All
Okay. See ya.
right.
All right.
Bye.
She hated when I called and it's late. I hope I never